Well, greetings everyone, and welcome once again to another Wednesday night here at the Sports Crib. As always, let's get our commercial stuff out of the way. As you can see on the bottom there, we oh, I guess you can't. Okay, there you go. Okay, yeah, you can subscribe to our channel and donate at our Cash App, $ JE King 3. And we will continue to annoy you every Wednesday evening at your pleasure. So let's get on the road here. I see Bo is here and Dave. How you guys doing tonight?
How's it going, guys?
Doing okay. You can vote, James.
Yeah, a lot of interesting things have taken place since we were here last week. And tonight we will get into our Super Bowl predictions, our Taylor Swift playoff props, and our Super Bowl props, and talk about some of the hirings and firings around the league. But before that, Dave, do we have Sue's Corner tonight?
Yes. She has 3 items. So she calls it Weird Sports Stories of the Week. So first, Jim Harbaugh is determined to whip the Chargers into shape. It might have seemed like a passing joke when Harbaugh said he got fulfillment out of heading to Home Depot and buying a shop vac to use on remodeling the weight room at the Chargers' Orange County facility. Harbaugh actually did go to Home Depot first thing after his hiring press conference and bought that shop vac. I do think the Chargers would have had enough in their budget to buy their own, but Big Jim isn't too subtle with his hints on getting this team shaped up. So that was the first item. Second item, there's a viral tweet making the rounds this week that draws a physical comparison between Purdy and JFK assassin Lee Harvey Oswald.
Man.
Purdy and Oswald do admittedly look fairly alike, perhaps mostly because they have similar haircuts. But is it a close enough resemblance that we need to rush to get Purdy's thoughts on the matter? One reporter thought so and blindsided Purdy with the question if he thinks he looks like Oswald. Cut the kid a break. He doesn't, by the way. And we're lucky that this 24-year-old even got the reference. So, and her third item, she's on a roll. I admittedly like Phil Mickelson about as much as I like Jim Harbaugh, which is not at all like the last. In this year's LIV Golf Media Guide, Phil Mickelson claims to have 47 holes in one to his name. I guess it's possible. He's been playing golf for a very long time. But to compare him with the true greats of golf, Tiger Woods, 20, Arnold Palmer, 21, Jack Nicklaus, 20. How is Phil doubling these guys despite only having 5 in PGA events? Permit me to be dubious. I mean, I guess if you stand on a par 3 and hit about 1,000 balls, maybe the other 42 of them go in. So that's his corner.
Damn.
Yeah.
She's not a Phil Mickelson fan.
Right? She was on one.
Wait, I join the choir here, you know. But since Sue brought it up, what did you guys think about Tiger Woods said he's coming back to competition?
I mean, I'm not really surprised.
I mean, he doesn't want to let go, and I don't blame him. But that's been his life, and he had that serious car accident, and he's trying to come back, and that's what he's done for since he's been like a little kid. So hey, give it a try. I don't expect him to be winning any majors, but more power to him.
Yeah, I guess he's not ready to accept the booth job yet, huh?
Or be his son's caddy, huh? So
Yeah, that's right.
so, yeah. Um, there's been a lot of changes, especially in sports betting. Um, I remember when the NFL and Las Vegas could not be used in the same sentence. You know,
Yep.
but it seems that now we have all these different sports sites and all different kinds of ways you can bet the sports book,
I mean, the
whatever.
league is sponsored by FanDuel and DraftKings.
Oh, funny you should mention FanDuel there, Bo. I have a riddle for you, Bo.
Oh shit.
An employee of said company uh, gets an account on FanDuel. I mean, not yeah. He gets an employee of someone that the NFL employs gets an account on FanDuel, and he proceeds to use funds to bet on certain sports. Now, he got his money's worth because he got millions. I mean, he wasn't nickel and diamond. He evidently, he must have bet a few parlays, and Tiger Woods would win a few, whatever. But anyway, he wasn't successful at gambling, and I guess one of the employees at FanDuel called the employer and says, "Hey, do you know you have this guy that's lost all of this money, and you might want to check into it." So the NFL notifies this guy's employer, and the employer says, "Well, you're fired."
Yeah.
But then he goes to FanDuel and he says, "I want the money back that this guy lost."
Yeah, that ain't gonna happen.
That's
That's not how gambling works. I'd be
Well,
surprised if the guy isn't just fired. I'd be surprised if he doesn't go to jail.
Oh, I mean, that's eventually in the works, especially if they don't get their money back.
Oh, they ain't getting their money back. Like that. That's not how. I mean, that'd be like if you robbed somebody, you went to Vegas, you lost that money. They can't drive to Vegas to get their money back. Vegas, well, it just says, "Well, I hope that money was insured."
But I thought it was funny that that they would even let this get out. I guess David. In the age of information, I guess you just can't hide anything. There used to be a time when you could like sweep it under the table. Like so and so got fired. Well, for what? Oh well, he went against company policy. Boom.
But I think for the gambling companies, they have a liability that they have to protect. And that's one of the reasons now, whenever you see them advertise, they'll give you the 1-800 number for Gamblers Anonymous or whatever. And so, especially with the relationship with sports, they have to be careful. I have an interesting quote here. Quote, "If gambling is permitted freely on sporting events, normal incidents of the game, such as bad snaps, drop passes, turnovers, penalties, and play calling, inevitably will fuel speculation, distrust, and accusations of point shaving or game fixing." Unquote. Roger Goodell, 2012.
Well, no, and it's still accurate. That's why no one within the league is allowed to gamble on it, because of that exact thing. But yeah, I mean, I think why this ended up getting traction is because, as far as getting out to the media, is even when you didn't have the information we do today, companies that had embezzlement would absolutely hit the papers. Whether it's local, national, because it's an embezzlement thing and it's going to hit like actual court. and someone's going to jail, like those would routinely, even back in the day, get press clippings of some sort. So this one, it's not a shock that that this thing would have got out, because if you're embezzling millions of dollars and losing, I feel like if you're embezzling it, wouldn't you just take that as the win, right? You already gambled once. You don't gamble with the gamble. You buy the yacht and you go to somewhere they don't extradite.
But another thing that was curious, though, is how he was able to do. FanDuel had to actually call his employer. The employer never called him. I mean, I think the FanDuel called the NFL, and the NFL had to call his employer because
how much money are you making that someone can embezzle millions? And you're just like, I don't know. It seems like I rounded up when I should have rounded down. Like, I mean, how many zeros are in that bank account?
Hey, yeah. So, like you said, like how many zeros are there, and how many people have access to, to this kind of I guess it was an expense account or whatever. But I mean, boy, I guess things are much easier to cover up now than they were then too. But so anyway, let's get to the NCAA here. And I'm going to start with you here, Dave. Now, the National Labor Relations Board, which most of us working people know something about, rules that Dartmouth basketball players are employees and, as such, have the right to unionize. Now, we've been talking about the death of the student athlete. Dave, is this the final nail in the coffin?
Well, this was the local board that ruled on it, and I'm sure that Dartmouth is going to appeal it.
Oh, but, no doubt.
I mean, this is the direction we're heading in with the NIL, and there's a lot of money at stake. The players have made a lot of money for the schools, and then and really football and basketball, that's basically the minor league of the NBA and the NFL. It's not like hockey or baseball that have their own, pretty extensive minor league networks. I don't know. The problem is the more money involved, money corrupts, and I can't blame the students. Now, what that's going to do in the future, I don't know. I can't speculate on that. It's hard to figure out what's going to happen. But I think you're going to get more of it because so much money's at stake.
Yep. Now, I think it's even going to have more impact out here on the West Coast, Bo, simply behind the fact that things are a little bit more progressive. And you do have, an abundance of wealth. Not to say that the East Coast is broke, but I'm just saying, but when it comes to, as Dave is saying, when it comes down to money, I mean, and I'm kind of figuring out how you would do that. I mean, do you pay them by the hour? Do you pay them by the game? Do they, do the guys on the bench get piecework? I mean, what do you think?
I mean, since it'd be for athletes, there would probably be some sort of base for being on the team, and then there'd probably be like game checks, or and it would probably be different on if you're a starter or not or whatever.
So you're earning a letter, but it comes with dollar signs.
Yeah, I mean, basically you're just changing who's paying you from the NIL, right? So the NIL, it's advertisement, and in this scenario it's the school. The thing that's funny is it puts you directly on the path that I thought they should have gotten rid of soon as all this started to happen, of taking that amateurism rule out of the NCAA handbook anyway. And then all of a sudden, now guys can go between college and, I was going to say the XFL, but the UFL, I guess is what it's called now. So, I mean, because you're essentially a pro league at this point, right? Just a low level pro league for college. And yeah, so you get paid, and you get a benefit of getting a degree, maybe.
Have we? I'm looking at the Olympics for one.
Okay.
And all of a sudden we have professional basketball players that are representing the country. You look at, I want to say track and field when you talk about the Diamond League and different, structures like that. Is there any, what is an amateur? High school students get paid now. I mean, have we completely gotten away from the sense of amateurism in sports?
No, Pee Wee exists.
I mean, here's one thing with the amateurism, and I'll associate. I'm most familiar with rugby, but the reason that for the longest time rugby was an amateur sport was because the higher classes that were playing rugby, they didn't want they didn't want to compete against the workers. And so, now you have two forms of rugby. You have rugby league, which was traditionally the professional league, which was the miners, the workers, and all this kind of stuff that would play. And then you had rugby union that was amateur, but that was really used to keep a segment of the population out of the sport. And so, that's one aspect. Now, that's going back into the 1920s and 30s and before. But
Gotcha.
I think, the difficulty with the Olympics is, you had all these athletes that were putting in tremendous amounts of training and hours, and they couldn't make any money. Jim Thorpe, he played a couple minor league baseball games, and they stripped him of his medals. In the meantime, he's like winning races. They're like stealing his shoes. He's having to borrow shoes to beat people in foot races and stuff like that. And it's, so the problem is how far should the pendulum swing? And that's the difficult problem.
I mean, when it comes to the Olympics, we already have pro athletes with basketball, though.
Right.
But you got to remember, guys, I mean, once again, I'm showing my age here. But when you had the Eastern Bloc countries that were essentially professional athletes competing in the Olympics, and, people were complaining, the Russians, the Cubans, and, that was back in the day. Now, 30 years fast forward, and you have professional athletes in what I consider would be the pinnacle of your amateur career. At least that's the way it used to be. Go ahead, Bo.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're just, that era has died. And so there's rules. I mean, it just, unfortunately, it is what it is. Because I mean, I remember watching that stuff, again, like, as a kid 30 years ago, and it was wildly different, right? There weren't professional athletes when it came to the Olympics, and at least on the U.S. side. Foreign countries did whatever they wanted to do, but we played by some rules of engagement, and so, but now there's no benefit to it because everybody at this point is using professional athletes. So, I mean, And to your point, these kids getting paid, it's the pinnacle of what their amateurism, their amateur status would be. But there's nothing that means they should have had to be amateurs. Like age required them to be amateurs, not necessarily their ability. So I actually don't really have a problem with them getting paid. If these schools are going to make tens of millions of dollars off of these kids, I don't feel bad for them having to pony up. I mean, they're using, it's what stemmed the NIL to begin with, is because, they're getting paid by EA Sports to put out, NCAA football, and it has all these kids' names and likeness and stuff in them. So, and the schools are getting, every school that's in it is getting paid for that. So I don't feel bad for the fact that these schools aren't just making ridiculous profits on the backs of these kids. Were they amateurs? Sure. Only because they didn't pay them, because they were sure earning the money.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. You want to give the final thought on that there, Dave?
No, well, I think I think I made my points. I mean, amateurism is just, that's a condition that people wanted to set, and that was for exclusion purposes, and to compensate people for their time, their practice, and everything. They should be. My only concern is how far does the pendulum swing, and what tends to happen is the pendulum swings too far, and then that becomes destructive. But
yeah, this thing's going to be in the parking lot. Like it's going to swing all the way through the side of the building.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go in there.
Yeah, once you start getting it, like you said, I mean, this is, even though it's the Labor Relations Board, National Labor Relations Board, it is going to eventually reach the court system, and it's a matter of whether we have, guys that have the kids' best interest at heart, or the schools. We'll see.
Oh, they definitely don't have that part. we can just assume that's not a real thing. They're not thinking about the kids at all. No, I mean, it's definitely, it's already swung too far is the problem. I mean, they allowed this NIL thing to happen before they had regulation really in place. And so they don't have a way to slow this thing down. They really needed to have a little more foresight on how it is they were going to allow this application to happen. Same with things like the transfer portal. The fact that you can transfer in the middle of the year is insane to me, right? Like if you're somewhere, you should be somewhere, right? So I mean, now you're messing with kids' education, making this happen. Like it seems like you should have to be within, outside of, like before the season starts, I should say. So I mean, there's a lot of things that they allowed to start happening that they didn't really have enough foresight to put limitations to it. And now they're playing catch up, and this would just be another step to that.
Yeah, I agree. Hello, Don. How are you doing tonight?
Hey.
Hey guys, how y'all doing?
We're doing all right.
Good.
Don, we were talking about the National Labor Relations ruling that the Dartmouth players are employees, and that they have the right to unionize. Don, what were your thoughts? I don't know whether you read the article or not, but what's your thoughts on these kids being able to unionize?
Well, I haven't read the article. Haven't read any of the controversies surrounding it. I just know that once NIL and transfer portal came in, the fact that they want to unionize is no big surprise to me. So I don't think I'm a big fan of it, but one thing that's constant is change, and things are changing fast.
Yeah.
In the comments, Feather Freebird ask, do you guys think being paid destroys playing for the love of the game? And I think to a certain extent, once you introduce money into it, then it's like in the NFL, the players talk about making business decisions, but you got so many players that play amateur or play in semi-professional football and stuff like that. Those guys, they're playing for the love of the game, and women too in the different sports. But once you reach the pinnacle with this, I think I don't think that you remove the love for the game, but definitely money. Because it's just like now, the players that don't play in the bowl games.
Yeah.
Because it's like, hey, I can't afford to get hurt because that might impact my ability to get drafted.
Well, and
so it does have an impact.
This may help some of them actually play in those games if there's
Right.
added pay for playing in a bowl game.
Yeah, I just thought that was a good question by Feather Freebird.
Yeah, no, and I don't think it destroys the love of the game. It definitely it'll adjust some of the things you do. But it also depends on how much they're getting paid, right? Because if you're playing semi-pro or like arena, right? When I played arena, I didn't change my love for the game, and I didn't get paid enough that it mattered, right? Like you got paid and you got free food and whatever, but you weren't in the NFL. You weren't making millions of dollars, right? So it's not like it was life-changing money. So I think once you get there, then maybe it does change. But getting compensated, I don't think gets rid of your love of the game. Or it didn't for me anyway. Like if my body would hold up, I would put cleats on right now and go play.
Well, I mean, at one time you used to have leagues for guys over 35, guys over 40. I mean, they used to be able, once again showing my age here.
No, they were real things for sure.
So kind of like the second part of this, the college football playoffs format is still undecided. The SEC and the Big Ten expressed doubt in the commitment, meaning that they're not too sure whether or not this will work or how many teams it's going to be. But the question to me is, can there be a college football playoff without these two power conferences? Are they really in the catbird seat? And I'm going to give this to you first, Don, because you have Texas and Oklahoma that have actually moved.
Yeah, so my opinion on that is that, first of all, the expanded playoff had to come, but the fact that they haven't really settled on the format is kind of is very troubling. I know for a fact the SEC and Big Ten eventually will be. I mean, they're in it. There's whoever said they're non-committal is, to me, it's not. That's not real. That's a false flag right there. I mean, the SEC will definitely be in it. Big Ten will definitely be in it. So let's just throw that out the window. I think what they have to do is take the champion of each conference, and then after that, you go to the next top teams. That's the best way to do it. Unfortunately, the way the playoff system is there's always going to be those teams that think they should be there. And, it happened. It happens when you have 4 teams. It happens when you have 8 teams, 12 teams, 16 teams, whatever. There's going to be that team like Liberty that says, well, we need to be there. So the controversy is not going away anywhere anytime soon.
There's less weight to the controversy, though. So when it was 4 get in and you have 5 power conferences, the math doesn't work, right? It's
Right.
you would think these were college people putting this together, but apparently 5 goes into 4 somehow. But when you're looking at it now, you're going to have 12 schools, right? You're going to have 4 power conferences, so the math works. And you're going to have the conference champions. You're going to have a couple of the other top schools in there, and then it's going to break down from there. And you're going to have some lower level schools that are going to have an argument, but it's going to be for 13th, not for 4th, right? You're not going to have an undefeated school at 13 because you're also looking at these conferences now having 18 schools in them. So the competition level is higher than they used to be. So you're going to see a lot less undefeated schools anyway. But when you're talking about a school that's going to be sitting 13th on the outside looking in, that's a 3 or 4 loss school. So nobody's going to feel bad for you, right? I mean, if you wanted to get in, win more games. It's not like you went undefeated and we're just holding you out. So, I mean, will there be question marks at that spot and controversy? Of course there will. But it's not going to hit the same as I went undefeated and y'all held me out for no reason.
I see, Bo. You got at least one black sock on tonight, Bo.
I assure you, they're both there.
Dave.
I love how this all happened. You know who caused this was Oregon State and Washington State, because they still have a vote. And I guess they met at the beginning of January. They thought, hey, this is a rubber stamp. We're going to go to this 5 guaranteed bids and then 7 at-large bids. And I think it was the guy from Washington State said, well, maybe we should hold off on voting. And the problem is they have leverage because it requires a unanimous vote. And the reason that Washington State and Oregon State are holding out is they want revenue guarantees beyond 2025, and they want to try to retain some type of voting rights. But I think what this has become, what we're witnessing is hardball negotiations, because the Big Ten now is coming in, and their leverage is with the SEC. Well, hey, we're the big dogs. We got 34 teams, and maybe we should have 14 to 16 teams in the playoff, and maybe our conferences should have more than one at-large bid because they are so big.
Yeah.
And so I think what we're witnessing is really a negotiation over big money. And it all started because of the Pac-2.
Yep.
Which is just amazing.
Oh yeah. Well, the amount of power that they have is actually really crazy, especially when you figure, because the schools announced that they were leaving the way they did. If Wazoo and Oregon State really wanted to, they could have crowned one of them two as the conference champion this last year, because those other schools were vacating. And so if they wanted to, they could have made it so that, undefeated Washington wasn't the last Pac-12 conference champion. They could have crowned, I forget who had the better record. I think Oregon State did, actually. They could have crowned them as the conference champion, even though within the conference they had undefeated team. Because they were vacating, they could have voted them out.
Could you imagine the lawsuits that would have been flying around at that time? Oh.
There wouldn't be, because it's actually part of their bylaw. So they actually would have been legally allowed to do it, which was what's insane about it.
And right now they have veto power for the next 2 years until they go into the next agreement period. I think the current agreement lasts for another 2 years.
Yep.
So that gives the Pac-2 veto power. And the other thing that I heard today is that I guess, and this is kind of related, is that ESPN is they're trying to form some type of a big streaming service, and they're
Yeah.
going to fold in the SEC TV and the Big Ten TV, and basically it'll be trying to package all sports under this one subscription that you could get.
I wonder if that's
and,
why.
and I think that this is all related to this.
I wonder if that's why the NFL's trying to buy a big stake of ESPN.
Oh yeah.
Well, probably, but I'm going to put on my black socks now. Well, I've had one all day. But
fresh out the dryer. Here we go.
So, Bronny James truly isn't a one and done player. Now, that doesn't mean that he might not be a one and done player, but he doesn't really have the talent to be one.
Sure.
Now, it's pretty evident to me that the old guard is starting to fade when you see the Warriors and the Lakers are the bottom two teams in the West. So, what do you think is more likely to happen here, Bo? Father and son play together in the present NBA alignment, or B, son plays for father's NBA franchise in Vegas?
Probably door number 2, because I agree that Bronny's not going to be a one and done. And I don't know that LeBron is going to be able to hold on long enough for him to actually get drafted. He definitely is not the player he's been, and he can't carry a team anymore. So he would need a lot of pieces around him. And, do you, if you're another team, do you keep LeBron? Does it make sense anymore?
At the cost, because with the player's scale, that means his cost is mostly going up.
Exactly.
Also, the veteran pay, the whole veteran scale, well, however they do it in the NBA. Don, what do you think?
I think eventually father and son will be playing together somewhere, just because it makes a great story. Money will be involved. Bronny will probably have a very short NBA career. I don't think he's really NBA material as well. He's not right now, but I just think that the storyline is too good to pass up. That's my conspiracy theory. It's up there with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce.
Okay. Dave.
Well, I agree with Don. I know many years ago in the 1970s, I got to see Gordie Howe play hockey with his two sons. Wasn't the NHL, it was the World Hockey Association, but and I think they were playing for the Houston franchise at the time, and that was pretty cool. And maybe they would bring LeBron back for like a short contract. Doesn't have to be for the whole season, and just to appear with his son, because I bet you that would they're struggling to increase their viewership. That might help.
I could see one of those 2-week contracts. I didn't think about that, because those exist. So yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, and it's not like he needs the money, so. All right, guys, let's talk about some of the hires, head coaches, offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators. Last week, we didn't even talk about Dan Quinn and the Commanders. We talked about some other people with the Commanders, but not Dan Quinn, as I recall. And among the first to go was his OC, Eric Bieniemy. He was replaced by Cliff Kingsbury. And Joe Wood Jr. was hired as his defensive coordinator. What were your thoughts on those hires, Don?
Just my opinion. I think that Dan Quinn, he was due to be hired as a head coach. I wasn't expecting him to go to the Commanders necessarily, but he's definitely due. I think he'll do a good job. We talked many times on this show. I wish I had the dollar time we talked about Eric Bieniemy. I think he's due also. So maybe that's good that he got out of the way of the Commanders. Maybe he can find a different place to land his feet.
Yeah, we're going to talk about
now,
Eric.
Joe Witt. I think that's a solid hire. I mean, there might be other people out there, but I think he was one of the best available. So I have no problem with that at all.
Dave.
Yeah, I actually thought there for a minute that Washington might hire Eric Bieniemy as their head coach. Is what I was thinking there for a minute, before they announced Dan Quinn. But I didn't really hear anything about them even interviewing him. I would imagine they did. But it'll be interesting. I mean, the Commanders are going through this ownership transition. You have to hope. I mean that they've gone from, at one time, the Washington football franchise was by far the number one sport in the Washington area, and it's not anymore. And which is just incredible to think about. They're like 3 or 4, and so they need a coach that's going to turn them around. In terms of Eric Bieniemy, he's 54 years old. Earlier in the season, there was this thing about his approach, and I watched Ron Rivera's interview, and that was very awkward to watch. But I just wonder if he's too old school, for today's NFL. And I don't know that maybe there's a reason he hasn't been hired as a head coach.
I kind of asked that a little bit further down the line when we get to talking about right after the hires here. What's your thoughts on the Commanders there and the new coaching staff, Bo?
Yeah, so I mean, Quinn getting in there, that's not a terrible hire considering who was left, right? Ben Johnson obviously decides to stay with Detroit. You got Mac McDonald going to the Seahawks. So the next best guy available was Dan Quinn. So it does make sense there. Letting Eric Bieniemy go, that also kind of made sense. Generally, when you bring in a head coach, they want to bring in their own guys. And Bieniemy was the only one that was still left on the roster, on the staff, from Ron Rivera and everybody. Like, everybody else got fired except Bieniemy and Rivera. And then Rivera gets let go at the end of the year. You could see the writing on the wall that Bieniemy wasn't going to be there anymore because they didn't elevate him immediately, right? So it's not like you necessarily want that job if they're like, yeah, we're gonna interview all these other people and they weren't great, so I guess you'll do. Like, I mean, I don't know. You could kind of figure he wasn't going to be in the room anymore. But I do like the moves that Washington is making. Having Witt as their DC, that's not a bad hire. They get the assistant GM from San Francisco. So if he learned anything from John Lynch, they should be able to get some talent. Obviously, Quinn can coach. We've watched him do it in various locations. So, I mean, I think Washington is okay. They got a long road ahead of them because they have so much work to do. But yeah, I mean, I don't mind that hire. But to your point, does Bieniemy's style keep him from getting a job? It definitely could this cycle, because you see guys like Belichick and Vrabel not getting jobs, right? The guys that coach hard are the guys that aren't getting jobs this cycle.
Like I said, we're going to go into a little bit more about that, especially the Giants. They hired somebody new, but I think it was their a new defensive coordinator, Shane Bowen. What do you think? I mean, I guess that's a start, Bo, but don't you think they need a little bit more?
They need a lot more. They don't. I haven't seen them do anything that moves the needle for me yet. Like Kafka is their, back, is their OC. Dable is still their head coach. Yeah, they got a new DC, but let's be honest, there were so many problems with that team. That doesn't move the needle.
What did you think, Dave, about the Giants' new hire?
I mean, I don't know a lot about Shane Bowen, but the Tennessee defense was, I didn't think that they were that impressive. I mean, like you compare it to Joe Witt, who was working with the secondary, and then the Dallas passing defense was 5th in the league. That I get, with Shane Bowen and the Tennessee defense, they seem to be middling. And so it's like, I don't know enough about them. Is that really a good move or not? So I would say I would wait and see. If they had hired Joe Witt, I would have more confidence, I think.
Don, what did you think?
Well, Rome wasn't built in a day, and the Giants won't be great overnight. They need a lot more help than just, naming a new defensive coordinator. They need to hit home runs in the draft and free agency. I'm not saying Bowen's a bad hire. I'm just saying that's not it's not a game changer at all. They need a lot more going in their favor than that.
Going to stick with your conference there, Don. The Cowboys. I'm looking here. Rex Ryan interviews with the Cowboys for the defensive coach, defensive coordinator position. You had Mike Zimmer, Ron Rivera. Don, is Jerry really looking for scouting McCarthy's replacement here, even though it's under the guise of looking for a defensive coordinator?
Well, the ones you mentioned, and I don't see Mike McCarthy being any better or any worse than the ones you mentioned, but the one that I would kind of keep an eye out for would be Ron Rivera. Rex Ryan is that'd be a huge mistake. Zimmer would be maybe the second choice, but Jerry Jones is going to hire the person that gets the most publicity, the biggest name, and right now that'd be Rivera. But I don't think he's drunk enough to hire Rex Ryan. I just don't think there's not enough bourbon in Texas to do that. Pull that shit off. So.
I will take that bet.
I'm not sure, but I was going to say I'm not. Maybe not the insulin money, but maybe for CBD money. I might take
100%. Yeah, I mean we're talking about Jerry Jones.
Well, no. Here's something to think about. In which franchise does the owner decide who the defensive coordinator and offensive coordinator are? Only Dallas does that. Usually. I guarantee you Kyle Shanahan is hiring who he wants as, OC, DC. I'm sure that Kansas City does the same thing and they're in the Super Bowl. But only in Dallas does the owner start hiring defensive coordinators, offensive coordinators without really thinking about, well, is this going to mesh well with the head coach? When you're doing that, you're saying the head coach has no power anyway. So that's a head scratcher.
most teams will use a GM to hire coaching, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like your coach is going to have input, but your GM is probably pulling the trigger. And you got to remember with Dallas, Jerry Jones is their GM. So, I mean, it's not like the power structure is that different. It's just he's also the owner, but he's definitely their GM. That's why you see so much goofy shit happen.
Yeah, well, I think his son isn't his son technically the GM?
Nah, he's like the assistant.
I thought he's vice president of football operations or something,
yeah.
something like that.
For some reason, I thought he was the official GM, but whatever it is, Jerry Jones is calling the shots. And
At best, he's the assistant GM, Jerry's son.
Mm.
Yeah. But according to ESPN, Marquand Manuel is supposed to be interviewed tomorrow. He was a defensive coordinator for, he's been with the Seahawks, the Falcons, the Eagles, the Jets, but yeah.
I would place money on Rex Ryan. If I was looking at this list, because Jerry Jones wants a name, and you got to keep in mind, even Rex Ryan's, Jets had a great defense. Like he's actually a good defensive coordinator. Now he's been out of it for a while, right? His last time coaching was 2016, so it's been a minute. But he's going up against guys like Mike Zimmer, right? So if it's Jimmy Jones or Jimmy Jones, Jerry Jones, and he wants flash, I mean, you take that guy like a Rex Ryan, where he's been on screen this whole time. He's still engaged in football. No, I would put money on Jerry Jones pulling the trigger on a Rex Ryan.
Dave, bring some sense to this madness.
Yeah, you want some sense out of this? I don't think he's scouting for McCarthy's replacement, because you know who McCarthy's replacement is going to be? The Clash of the Titans. It's going to be Bill Belichick.
Yeah, could be.
Okay, all right.
And he'll bring him in, and then that would be such a huge clash because you have two huge egos, and Jerry knows that. And they'll fight for a couple seasons until Belichick gets his record on the most regular season wins, and then they'll part ways. But could you imagine that for a couple seasons? There would be drama all over the place.
Man, I don't think they could do it. That would be such a dumpster fire. I'd be here for it. But I don't know that I don't know what would be left of that franchise at the end of that.
Now that might that might really deplete the bourbon supply in Texas.
Right.
Bo, the Packers really go outside the box. They hired Boston College head coach Jeff Heffley, I want to say, as their defensive coordinator. What's your thoughts? When you look at how the Packers finished, they are making strides with their offense, and Love. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, they really did play well down the stretch. This one, I don't know, because I didn't watch a lot of Boston College football, to be honest. So I'm just not super familiar with him. I mean, they had to have seen something there, but yeah, I can't say that I watched a lot of Boston College.
What do you think here, Dave?
Well, he does have NFL experience. So he was coaching with Tampa Bay 2012 to 2013, with the Browns 14 and 15, and with the 49ers 16 to 18. Coach? So it's not he was in the coaching staff. So it's not as if he's new to the NFL.
No. But I mean, was he like a position, like a linebacker coach or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say, because I'm just not familiar with him.
Yeah. And I think maybe it's a trend because I think that today's players, it's a different breed of cat. And maybe we'll see more of this of coaches kind of going back and forth between the NFL and college, because I think that the dynamics, the team dynamics, they're evolving, they're changing, and so for me, it's like I don't think it's like a completely unknown. I don't think it's coming out of complete left field. They probably have some familiarity with them because they played against them.
Yeah.
Don?
So I think anytime you go to the college and get a head coach, or even some position coaches, I think it's almost like a cloak and dagger move sometimes, and I think the Packers pulled it off. I think it'll be a good fit. The Packers showed that they're a team on the upswing, and I think that it was a pretty good hire. Boston College is one of those teams that they're never going to really compete for national title. They're good for an upset or two every so often, but I think it's a good move on the Packers to get him out of Massachusetts.
I'll stay with you here, Don. The Bucks hire their new offensive coordinator, Liam Cohen. Khan, I believe it is. And he hopes to coach Baker. Don, what are your thoughts on the hire? And do you think that he is going to coach Baker? Is Baker coming back to the Bucks?
I think Baker is. I think Baker had that kind of year where he showed that he still has some game left, and I mean, he's in Florida. Who would not be happy to play in Florida? I mean, the Sunshine State, no income tax. So I definitely see him in a Bucks uniform, and I expect him to have a very competitive year, and I think they will beat some people that you don't expect to, because Baker Mayfield is showing that he still has it.
Bo, the Clowns hire Ken Dorsey as their new offensive coordinator, and among his new hires included Deuce Staley as the running backs coach. What do you think about his hire? I mean, hey, it would seem to me that Deuce has a good one up on this running back coach game here. I could be his assistant. I mean, who can't coach? They're two running backs. But what's your thoughts here, Bo?
I mean, I don't mind Deuce in that position. I mean that, and talk about taking over a great running back room. I mean, it's I don't mind that. I don't mind that pickup.
Yeah, sounded good to me, even though I'm not a Clown fan, as everybody knows. But so Dave, usually I try to listen to you guys' shows so I can get a little preview into what's going on in Steelers country here. But we've all talked about Art Smith, the new hires, Steelers, the new OC. We have heard that Le'Veon Bell wants to come back and play again, but only as a Steeler. I think we can all agree that another premier project for the Steelers should be to find a guy to complement Joey Porter Jr. And I haven't heard a lot about Mike's extension, but I'm expecting a 2-year extension here. Dave, tell us what's going on down there in Steelerland.
Yeah, well, with the things, first, with Arthur Smith, I think that the initial reaction of a lot of fans were they were unhappy. Hey, he's a loser. Kind of like what Reggie was saying last week.
I was one of
7-10,
them.
7-10,
I was
7-10.
one.
But I think that as people learn more about what he's done as a coordinator and the way he's come up the coaching ranks, I think that people are starting to get more comfortable with them. It's going to be interesting. They did let go Frisman Jackson, the wide receivers coach, who had been with Matt Canada before. So now they got to find a wide receivers coach. So now we're going to start to see what coaches come, because he'll probably have some influence on the coaches that get hired. And the management model in Pittsburgh, I don't know how many other teams do it, but it's not linear between the coach and the general manager. It's actually Mike Tomlin and Omar Khan are co-equals. And then they report separate lines up to Art Rooney the second. Where other teams, it's the general manager that does all the hiring. Art Rooney the second said, no, this is Mike Tomlin's hire, in terms of the coordinators. That's a little bit different. In terms of Le'Veon Bell, look, I think he's trying to make up for a huge mistake that he made several years ago. Whenever he declined to take a multi-year deal with that would have gotten them about $12.5 million a year. I think it was a $68 million deal. And then he didn't sign the second tag, which was worth $14.5 million. So when he went to the Jets, he lost probably about $1 million and up to $42 million if he had signed that long-term contract with Pittsburgh. The other thing is, people don't really talk about the value of the endorsement contracts of the players that stay with the team for a long time. And there's a value to that. And I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to make up to the Pittsburgh fan base, because, maybe the boxing and the rapping isn't giving him enough revenue in there. He's 31 years old. I know Cam Hayward said, hey, he would welcome him back, because the linemen in Pittsburgh kind of were angry with him whenever he had said that he would come back whenever he was tagged, and he did not. But at 31 years old, and then the thing is, if he's going to be the number 3 running back, does he play special teams? So I don't see that happening. I think that this is more, maybe they'll bring him to camp. Maybe. But I don't think he'll make the 53. I just don't see it.
It's not even the same game.
No. And he doesn't have the line. The line that he had, Marquise Pouncey, Dave DeCastro, Ramon Foster. He had a great line, and this is a line that's being built up. So I don't see it.
I think this is more just for clicks than anything. Yeah,
and I think he's trying to get back into good graces of the Pittsburgh fan base, because there's a value in that. And you can make money off of that. The thing is, with Joey Porter, maybe the sleeper in this, maybe Pittsburgh already has the complimentary mate for Joey Porter in Pittsburgh, in Corey Trice. Because he was drafted in the late rounds because there was injury concerns, and he did hurt himself. But, he's still been up there. He was very active with the team throughout the season. And so I expect to see him in camp competing for a spot. And when you see Corey Trice and Joey Porter standing next to each other, they look like they're twins. But I think that they'll probably look to the draft, maybe a day 2 draft pick at cornerback. Of course, they did well with Joey Porter, but Pittsburgh doesn't have a good draft track record with drafting cornerbacks. there was a long slew, Cortez Allen and all these guys that just didn't make it. But I'll be interested to see how Corey Trice does. Yeah, he intrigues me. The other thing I wanted to mention is that Pittsburgh, in a big shift, they're interviewing Tom Arth, I think it is, who was with the Chargers to be a potential pass game coordinator. So maybe Pittsburgh's entering the 21st century and looking at expanding their coaching staff a little bit.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about Bieniemy before we get into the prop bets here. Don, what do you think? He lost his job with the Commanders. The head coaching slots are filled. Most of the coordinator jobs are filled. I think he's actually with Kansas City in Frisco now. Being reunited with Andy Reid, and that since hey, he's unemployed, he can do what he wanted to. But what do you think, Don? Is he a relic? I mean, is he the guy that your son doesn't want to play for?
Well, and I've said this before on the show. We're talking about Eric Bieniemy. I'm a big Eric Bieniemy fan. We played against him when I was at Texas, and he's at Colorado. He shared a backfield with a guy named J.J. Flanagan, who's another good running back. So those guys were tough. I just wonder if maybe Bieniemy might go look at the college. See if go back to his alma mater, see if Deion Sanders could use him. I'm sure that might be something to look at. But for some reason, NFL teams don't want to hire him as head coach. I don't know if he just does piss poor in interviews, or I know he had some DWIs early in his career when he was younger. That should be held against him because there's other coaches that have worse problems than that. So I don't know. I hope he finds a job somewhere and he can find a good fit for his skill set.
Bo, is he just too damn old?
No, I mean, he might fall into that class of coaches where, like I said before, it might be a little bit too rigid for this particular cycle, right? I don't think that'll remain true. The next time through, guys like Vrabel and Belichick, and I mean, they're all going to get their shot at it. That being said, there's still some teams that need an OC. I believe Seattle hasn't actually brought one in yet. So they are still in there. They're still out there feeling them out. So I wouldn't be surprised if Bieniemy got a shot at a lateral move, so to speak. And honestly, it would probably be a decent move for him because say he had stayed in Washington, he's going to have to be there during the building of a team. In this case, this team was in the playoffs last year and missed the playoffs this year by one game, right? So this is a team that has a lot of toys he can play with. It's a very dynamic offense. So I could see him coming to Seattle and making a difference there. But, to Don's point, I'm sure there would be some options at the college ranks as well.
What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, I would. He's 54. I mean, at least from my perspective, maybe yours too. It's young, right? I mean, he still has some mileage left, and I think it would be interesting if he went back to the college ranks. I think that would really, really be interesting. But he could take an OC job, or he could be hired by a team as a senior assistant. That's looking for some assistance there. A lot of the teams seem to they've gone to larger and larger staffs. So I could see him finding a place. As far as him being a head coach someday, maybe he'll get a shot. But I just wonder. I mean, to me, whenever Ron Rivera, who's a pretty soft-spoken guy, had to come out to say the things that he did, I mean, there was some problems, and so maybe he needs to take a Dale Carnegie course or something. But I mean, I like him. I mean, I would love for him to get a shot and see how it does. I mean, there's a lot of new coaches coming in this year, and you look at the Houston coach. I can't think of his name right now, but I thought he did rookie coach, and he did a marvelous job last year. So we'll see.
Yeah. I just think, even though he's in his 50s, I just think maybe it's his coaching, maybe it's his style as far as, I think we talked about before, maybe he's just a bad interview, but anyway, it should be interesting to see what happens, especially between Belichick, Rivera, and
what it reminds me of, remember when Mike Singletary went to coach the 49ers?
yeah.
That's what it reminds me of. That personality, which.
Yeah, but it like I said, to me, it was a different type of player. A lot of players today can't take criticism. They think,
True.
Yeah. So guys, let's get to some of these prop bets. Okay. Here's the first one. Either team to kick a game-winning field goal at the end of normal time. What do you think? Yes or no? Yes will get you $800.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of thought it would be a field goal kind of game. I thought it was going to be like a 23-20 sort of deal. So, I mean, I could see that one paying.
What do you think, Don?
Hey, why not? Sure, go for it.
Dave.
Yeah, I mean, when we see some of these others, I'm going to say yes on this one.
You're right.
Okay, Don, an offensive lineman will score a touchdown. Yes, will get you $4,000.
I don't see that happening. No.
You'll go for the 8, but not the 4. Go ahead, Bo.
Yeah, definitely not.
Dave.
No, how much are we having to kick in to get that 4,000? I'm going to say no.
I think it's 100.
Yeah, it'd be $100 bet.
I'll keep my 100.
Yeah.
Okay, Dave. What will be higher? The gross yards of the first punt or the yards of the longest TD scored?
Now, if you had said net yards on the punt, I might have gone with the longest TD, but I'll take the. I didn't look at the punter's statistics, but I'll take the punt, the gross punt.
What do you take, Don?
I'll go with that, the punt. So just to clarify, but before I throw money at this, so the gross yards of the punt, now, is that the longest touchdown drive or single touchdown play?
The longest touchdown drive. The
no,
longest
TD. Drive.
No, the longest TD, period.
Okay, so that single play, then yeah, I'm taking the punt.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I was like, if it's the drive, then that's close, right? Like that one's close. But if it's a single play, both these defenses are too good for that.
Okay. Sticking with you, Bo. The yards of the first punt, gross, versus the yards of the longest TD, and you get if the first putt is longer, it's a minus 200.
Mhm.
So if it's the longest TD, the odds are plus 155. But if it's a tie, you get $3,000.
Yeah, that's because it's not going to be a tie. I'll definitely go with the I'll definitely go with the punt. I'd be surprised if someone tears off a long run or a long pass that's longer than a punt in this game, unless it's one of those really weird scenarios where there's just not a punt.
Yeah, that could be true. What do you think, Don?
Good point.
Well, I go with the punt as well, but if the pass were happen to be longer than the first punt, then I would say I put down double money and say it'll be Debo Samuel that scores it.
Okay, well, we're gonna get down. We're gonna get down to that too. What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, the other thing that could happen with the punt is if you have a drive to say the 50.
Yeah,
and then then you have to have a pooch punt there. But I'm still going to go with the punt, and it's the first punt. So this is
Exactly.
like
Right.
the team's opening drive. Now, if they have a 3 and out, then
and that's what I'm imagining.
These guys will launch it. What's that?
That's what I'm imagining is it's going to be a 3 and out, probably for both teams, right? Because they've had the 2 weeks off, they've had to do all these media days. I'm going to go with neither team is exceptionally sharp out the gate. So the fact that it said first punt is why I was thinking, oh, okay, that's probably going to be a longer punt because both these teams might struggle to move the ball on that first drive.
Yeah. And by the way, Sue wanted to know how come you didn't have the length of the national anthem on here.
It wasn't one of the prop bets.
It was. It was. We talked about it on a different show earlier today because Reba McEntire is singing it, and historically she will hit the under. So if you're watching the under, because it's Reba, she doesn't do the long dramatic pause before the brave and then stretch the brave out to make it a 3.5 minute song. She bangs that thing out. So
I'll pass that on to Sue.
Yep. So it would be the under. It would be the under.
Okay. Dave, what will be higher? The length of the longest made field goal or the total number of points scored in the game?
Ooh.
Ooh.
Between both teams.
Yeah.
Total number of points scored in the game. Total
So you
number.
can have a 40, 45-yard field goal. Oh,
That's
wow.
a tough
That's a
one.
good one. That's actually a good one.
Right? I like that. Not to put money on it, but I like it.
Yeah. Well, with what's at stake, and it's not Buffalo playing, so it's not going to be wide right. So,
well, and it's not the Ravens where it's going to be a 62-yarder.
Good point. I'm gonna go with the field goal. That's a risk, but I'm going to go with the field goal.
Oh, wait, let's see. Let me give you the odds here. The total points, minus 125, the longest field goal, plus 120, and a tie, you get $2,500.
Oh, we got to keep track of this. See if any of us make any money.
Yeah, right. Hey, I'm going to plus territory here. I'm going to take the longest field goal because I think someone's going to hit a 54-yarder roughly. I don't think there's that many points scored in this game.
Okay. Well, you definitely, Buckner is capable. The only thing the other guy's missing is accuracy. It's not that he's not capable. But what's your thoughts? Did you give me what did you say, Dave? You said the longest field goal.
Yep.
And Bo, you said the longest field goal, right?
Yep.
Don?
I'm going to go with the points. I mean, you got a guy named Mahomes playing, a guy named Kelsey playing, a guy named McCaffrey playing. a guy named Debo Samuel playing. We're gonna have some points, guys. I'm just letting you know. So
I mean,
I'll
both
go the
these
point.
teams had top 5 defenses, though.
Yeah, well, something's gonna break.
Okay. Don, will there be an octopus?
No. No, I had to read your definition of octopus, and then when does that ever happen anyway?
It actually happened this year. It did happen earlier this year, where you score the touchdown and then you also score the 2-point conversion.
But it has to be the same player, right?
Yeah. But that happened earlier this year.
Yeah, it was a TV game. I'm trying to think what team it was, but it was a TV game. I remember that because that was where I got the term. I didn't know what octopus was until I saw it. It's like, what the hell is an octopus? Yeah.
Well, the octopus ain't going to happen in the Super Bowl.
You're not wrong.
Well, I guess that means you. Let's see. The odds, yes, plus 1,400. No, you get $4,000.
No, that's minus 4,000.
That's minus 4,000.
It would take you 4,000 to make $100.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You have to put up 4,000 to make 100. That doesn't make sense to me. But
I'm gonna. Hey James, I'm gonna create a new term. A squid.
What's that? The squid? Okay.
A squid. A squid is a field goal kicker who misses every field goal except the last one that wins the game.
Okay.
I think that's going to happen in the Super Bowl. When a kicker is going to miss 3 field goals, and then he's going to make the winner. So
yeah, it's an indoor game though.
Yeah, it should be pristine conditions,
right?
Other than the. Well, no, that's fully enclosed. It's air conditioned, right?
No,
it's been raining here. But...
Yeah, it's climate controlled the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, it's 72 and amazing.
Hey, I'm telling you, you got a monorail that runs right there to the. Oh man, yeah. Because I kind of watched it from the ground.
I'm just creating. I'm creating terms just for the hell of it, guys. I'm not going to tell you what's in this glass right here, by the way.
Okay. Let's see. Next here, combined TDs, scoring with the same jersey number. And in other words, what I'm saying here is, say Debo said, what's Debo Samuel's number?
Well McCaffrey's use Kelsey's. He's 87.
Okay,
that'll get you closer to the number you're looking for anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, in other words, if Patrick Mahomes and Kelsey scored, that would be over 100. So you're saying that the combined score of the game and the combined score of the TD, that the players that make the TD, so you would have to have a pass to either a tight end, a running back, or someone of that nature. So if it's what's Patrick's number? I mean, Mahomes' number? Is his number 13?
What, Mahomes?
Yeah.
No, he's 16, isn't he?
6 is okay. So, like you said, 86, 16, and 87. If you think the combined score is going to be that, then yeah, this is a yes. If you think it's going to be, if it's over, if you're going to bet on the over being 121 and a half, the over is minus 150. And if you're going to bet that it's under 121 and a half, it's plus 125.
So you take each touchdown scored, and then whoever scores it.
The highest one. If it's over 121, yes. If they're 100, if it's under, then yes. No.
So what if they throw 2 of them to the same player? Do you double it? Like
you only
one time.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
What do you think, Don?
Well, which
I'm still trying to figure it out, but
Is
it's
it
too
the first
complicated.
touchdown
So
or
no.
I don't,
No,
I don't understand.
That's an anytime touchdown.
It's the highest anytime, whether it's the first touchdown, the last, it might be just before the half, but it's the highest combination.
I mean,
So Kelsey and Kelsey to Mahomes would still be the under 87 plus 16. But say if Kelsey were to throw a pass to say who was that, the one that they got, Tony, the one that got called back, that's certainly over 121 and a half.
Yeah, I'd go under here.
What do you say, Don? You're under. What do you say, Dave?
Yeah, I'm going to take the under. I'm not quite clear on this, but I'm going to take the under.
Well, so many receivers have low jersey numbers now that, I mean, the odds of hitting the under is really high.
Yeah.
Which is probably why it's a minus 150.
Yeah.
No, the over is minus 150.
The over.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah,
oh, weird. Yeah. So I guess I'm in positive territory. Hey, I'll take that. I'll go with the under, though. Is it including the points they scored, or is it just the two jerseys?
It's just the two jerseys. The combination of the two jerseys. Dave,
this is a passing touchdown.
Well, I would assume that it was a passing touchdown. I wouldn't assume that it would be a handoff. I'm just assuming in this,
Well, and most running backs are in the 20s anyway, so that'd definitely be the under.
Yeah. Will there be a scoregami?
No.
Yes is a plus 2,000, and no, you have to put up 1,000 to win 100.
10. Got to put up 10 grand. Got to put up 10 G's for $100. The odds are really low.
10 grand. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. So
how many are left? They got to be running out of combinations.
Exactly.
Yeah, we had one this. Didn't we have a game this year that was a scoregami?
There was early in the year. I don't remember what the score was, but we did have one early in the year.
Yeah, I think were the Giants part of that? I'm not sure. I think it was. Yeah, okay, guys. Don, this is your favorite part of the program. Taylor Swift prop bets by DraftKings. Okay, Don. Kelsey scores the first and last TD. Plus 2.
He probably scores the first, but not the last. So no.
Bo.
Man, that is one that could actually be a thing. I'm still gonna go with I'd keep my money in my pocket, but Kelsey is kind of the only dude that routinely catches the football on that team. So I'm still going to go no, but that is a very possible winner.
Dave.
Now, is it the first and last touchdown of the game or for his team?
Oh, I thought of it as his team.
No, his team, first and last. And they don't have to win. This is all he has to do is score the first and last touchdown
for his team.
Yeah.
No.
But it has a real shot. Like that is one. If somebody put a bet on it, I wouldn't be like, "Oh, you're dumb." Like that one has a real chance.
Well, I'm going to say yes then. Thanks.
Well, okay. Well, here's the next one, Dave. Kelsey will score a TD in each half.
Well, I mean, I feel like you have to take that one if you took the first one.
Yeah, I'll take that. That's a possibility.
Yeah.
Don.
I'll take that. I'll take that also. Yeah.
Okay.
Don, I can get in with that one.
Don, the Chiefs scored 22 points in the first half.
Ooh.
Is that 22 plus or 22 exactly?
I'm going to say no.
No, they say they scored 22 points in the first half. I got some exact bets for you. Go ahead.
I'm going to say no. No.
Bo?
No, they're not going to land on 22.
Okay. Bo, the Chiefs win by exactly 11 points.
Well, I'm going to go with no because I actually think the Niners win this game.
Okay. Dave?
Same reason. No.
Don?
Nope.
Okay. Don, the last great American dynasty. The Chiefs win by 22 plus.
Nope.
Well,
No.
I know what you're saying, Bo, so I don't have to ask you that one.
That would be shocking.
That would be shocking.
Okay. Don, Mahomes and Kelsey combined for all of the Chiefs TDs.
I'm going to say no.
Dave?
Pacheco, no.
Bo?
I think, yeah, no.
Go ahead, Dave.
I think he could. Right? Like if you're doing the other two bets where he scores twice and then you get a couple of field goals, that gets me to that 20 that I thought they were going to land at. So, maybe he does catch the only ones and Pacheco gets them down there. And then they throw it, they throw to the tight end.
Yeah, I just think Pacheco is going to score.
Okay.
Yeah, he might for sure.
Okay, Bo. Kelsey, no receptions, and the 49ers win.
No receptions at all?
Zero. It says zero.
The fact that that's only plus 3,000 is asinine. That better be plus like 10 million for him to not get a pass thrown to him that he catches. He went 11 for 11 last week. I'm going to go with definitely not.
Dave.
No.
Don.
Someone's smoking dope at DraftKings.
No. Okay, Don. Purdy passes for 300 plus yards, and he has 3 plus passing TDs, and the 49ers win.
He's going to throw about 250 with maybe 2 TDs, but I see the 49ers winning. So I'm going to say no on that because I think the yardage and TDs are too high. I have no problem with the Niners winning.
Bo?
Yeah, I'm going to go with that. The passing yards are too high. Again, both these defenses are good. Christian McCaffrey is going to carry a lot of weight in this game. So I'm going to go with no on this. Just because I don't think he's going to throw for the 3 touchdowns. I think he probably throws for 1, and then the other one is on the ground.
The other 2. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Okay, Dave.
Well, if this was Mahomes and Tyreek Hill was still on the team,
sure,
I could see that happening with the 49ers winning. But I'm going to say no because I like Purdy. I mean, he's been very, very impressive. But I don't think that they're going to be – if they're lighting up the passing, they got some problems.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say no.
See, now this is one I actually think, that when you have Ayuk and Debo both healthy, and McCaffrey, all of those are passing targets. So,
I mean, McCaffrey's a running back, though.
But McCaffrey is also part. I mean, I think McCaffrey's one of the few where isn't his TDs about 50-50 or close to 50-50?
Yeah, I mean, some of them go down as running plays, though, because if he's throwing to the flat, right, a lot of times that's behind the quarterback. So that actually goes down as a run because it's a lateral. It's not a pass.
Okay.
So even
Yeah,
though
the regular season, San Francisco actually ran more than they passed. It was close.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
it was almost 50-50, but they actually ran more than they passed.
well, and they use Debo in the running game. So I
Right.
mean, you know, there's a real possibility that some of these go down as running plays.
There's running plays. Yeah. Okay. Who did I leave off with? Dave?
Yeah, I said no.
Okay. The winning margin will be exactly 7 points.
It could be. I see a fairly close game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. It could. I was thinking like a 3 or 4 point game, especially if there's a game winning field goal at the end, which I said yes to. But I'm going to say I'll go with the yes on this. I'll hedge my bets.
What do you think, Don?
No, I shy away from words like exactly. So no.
Yeah.
Vote.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a field goal. So I'm going to go no here.
Good policy, Don.
Okay, guys. As of this morning, the 49ers are favored by 2. Not 2.5, not 3, 2. Okay, so that brings that field goal in that you were talking about there, Bo.
Mm-hmm.
And the over-under is 47.5. Don.
That sounds about right. I don't know about that 47. I think the 47.
It's 47.5.
Yeah, so that might be. I think it might be a little bit higher, like maybe 50, 52, something like that. But you know, I like the 49ers by 2 or 3 points. So that'd be my prediction.
Dave.
Well, for my 7 point margin, it'd have to be like a 27-20 game. I think it'll be more like a 27-24 game.
Ooh, that puts you on either side of that.
Yeah, exactly. My dilemma. I'll go with the over.
Okay, over and the 49ers. Okay,
Yeah.
we know you got the 49ers, Bo. I think you already said by 3. So
yeah, I'm gonna go under though.
You're gonna go
Yeah,
under.
that's probably good with the defenses.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the under because I think it's gonna be a 23-20 or 24-21 kind of game, and so that'll put me just at the under.
Yeah, so like that puts you like 45, right? Somewhere around there.
Yep,
24,
exactly.
21. Okay, all right.
Yeah. So yeah, so I'll take the under and the points.
Okie doke. So Super Bowl MVP: Patrick Mahomes, Brock Purdy, McCaffrey, Kelsey, or someone else.
McCaffrey.
Go.
Going McCaffrey.
Ooh, taking McCaffrey, the big dog. Okay. Don.
I'm going to go out on a limb and go kind of haywire here. I'm going to say Brock Purdy.
Okay. All right. We got one McCaffrey. We got one Purdy. Dave?
Yeah, the NFL would love that line, the Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant to Super Bowl MVP. That's a heck of a story.
That would be.
I'm gonna go. I think that they're going to try to stuff McCaffrey, and I'm going to take somebody not on here. Maybe Debo Samuel lights it up.
Yeah.
That would be it. I think he would fits in there at number 5. I think I only put the top 4 in.
How about Kittle?
See, that's another one.
That's another target.
No,
That's
Kittle
another
definitely
target
good
pretty
too.
likes.
Yeah, that forms under other also. All right, guys. Well, hey, another Wednesday night is over with. Let's start with you, Don. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Well, I've had a very long day, guys. This morning, turning to my campus, I got rear-ended by a pickup.
Oh no.
So the soreness is starting to creep in. I think I have a little whiplash, have a little pain, around my shoulder blades. I'm fine, but just when it happens to you in the morning, who needs coffee, right? I mean, I was woke up after that, so got my attention. I almost didn't come on the show tonight just because it's been a long day. But I said, you know what, I need this because we're going to talk about Super Bowl, and Super Bowl is our last football game of the season until I guess this USFL XFL thing comes around in spring. But
Pop
it's going
Warner
to
for
be
grown-ups.
Yeah, pretty much.
is what?
Pop
Pop
Warner.
Warner.
Yeah. So also today was national signing the final national signing day for college football. Most of the classes have already been full. Texas didn't sign anybody because we got the 8 transfer portal guys, but so that's good. But anyway, go back to Super Bowl. If the 49ers win, that would make Kyle Shanahan the second Longhorn to win a Super Bowl. The other one would be the legendary Tom Landry. So my heart is kind of going for the 49ers. I picked them to win, which is kind of hard to do because I like Kansas City. I'm a big Mahomes fan, and I like the ownership group at Kansas City. But I want to see a Longhorn win a Super Bowl. So go Kyle Shanahan, go 49ers. That's my final thoughts.
Dave.
Well, hey, Sunday was that's the big 7-7, wasn't that for you, James?
Yes,
So
sir.
I just wanted
Oh,
to
that's right.
wish you. I hope you had a great birthday, and I wanted to wish you a belated happy birthday. I know we mentioned it last week, but I hope you had a really, really nice day.
I did. I appreciate that. Yeah, the neighbors got me a chocolate cake, a German chocolate cake, and
Oh, nice.
I pigged out. So no need. When you get my age, it's the little things that count. So I was good. But doing this show, other podcasts that I do. I mean, it's kind of. Once you get retired, you have to do things in order to keep yourself mentally, awake. And, you can't go out and run those marathons no more. At least I can't. So, but I appreciate that, Dave. Thank you very much. Bo.
Yeah. No, I've totally forgot. Yeah. No, happy birthday. And then, of course, on the football front, we got one left. And then we're back to the off season that seemed like it took forever. And then we rushed through the season, and here we are. So it's one of those, I'm looking forward to it and a little sad to see it end.
Yeah. I think we won't have any problem keeping our show under 2 hours from now on. So that'll be a good thing for some of you guys back east. Me and Bo don't care. We can stay up at least another 4 or 5 hours. so yeah. Oh yeah. So hey guys, I appreciate you guys coming every week and sharing your thoughts with me, man. And this is one of the things that keeps me going. So I appreciate your time and all the effort that you put in for the show. Thank you so much. And with that, guys, let's take it on home. I'll see everybody next week. And hey, we can talk about Taylor Swift, the Super Bowl, and whatever happened. But, I'm sure we'll all be in front of our TVs Sunday. So have a great week, guys. Have a great weekend. Enjoy yourself. And most of all, especially Don, be safe. So-
Yeah.
All right, guys. Have a good weekend. I'll see you next week.
Thanks,
Take
guys.
care.
Bye.
Yeah, I missed you guys Monday, Dave. I was trying to get in there to catch a little bit of it, but you know, are you still going to come on every week and talk with us? Or you gonna or what?
Yeah, I will. I've, for me, it's really good because I tend to be like Pittsburgh centric, and then this forces me to kind of go out and look at other teams and other sports. So that's been good for me. But just so that you know, I record. If you go on Clubhouse, my the Steelers town halls, they're